Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pillar to Post. This is Nxt Takeover Chicago review results and my reactions. Now tonight we had I'm gonna calm it down here. Don't want to use foul language because that gets me a kick in the ass from YouTube. Tonight was an exciting night. Now at first, when I seen that the heavyweight title was going kind of mid-match, or second to last match, I should say, became a little bit concerned. I was wondering what the hell. But it all became very clear at the end of the ladder match between Authors of Pain and DIY. Big things went down tonight in NXT and at the TakeOver pay-per-view in Chicago. But before we get moving on any further, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/pillar2post. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Make sure you check Audible out and use that link because it will get you your free audiobook and your free 30-day membership. Check it out. It benefits you, it benefits me, and it benefits Audible. It gets everyone where they want to go. Now, like I said, big things went down tonight. I was impressed, like I always am when it comes to NXT. Now, NXT Takeover is just NXT ripped wide open. I love it. I love every single moment of it. Now, the very first match was a little bit concerned over. It wasn't exactly flowing the way I liked it. I actually started getting a little bit bored, but then it started picking up and it brought me back into it. Sadly, my stream went a little bit wonky near the end, so I did not get to see the finish. I do know who won, but I don't know how they won. So that was discouraging for me, but after that, my stream was perfect. Perfect all the way through the rest of NXT. Just one little hiccup and we were back on. But the very first match of the night was Eric Young versus Roderick Strong. And we all know how this went down. We had Sanity attack Roderick Strong at the end of NXT's taping last week. It was a brutal beatdown by the hands of Sanity to Roderick Strong, and this brought it full circle into NXT Chicago's TakeOver. I enjoyed the match. Like I said, I was a little bit concerned at the beginning. Now, the way the match started, I thought it started off good. We had Young standing in the ring. Strong came out of nowhere, took out Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf, and then he went into the ring and went straight on the attack against Eric Young. It was a great match, a lot of back and forth. We've seen Young in control for quite a fair amount of the match. And it was Roderick Strong that would come back in the end and take the win. It was a great match. Now, Roderick Strong won the match. And like I said, I didn't get to see it. It wasn't my favorite of the night. It wasn't my favorite match of the night. It wasn't a bad match. I'm not going to shit on the match. The match was a good match. It was a solid match. Roderick Strong looked good. Eric Young looked good. It wasn't a match for me. But the next match, wow. I haven't heard a WWE crowd go this nuts in a very long time. The UK guys put on a show tonight that I don't think a single person of the night or team could do over. Not a damn one of them. These guys went over so bad. They had a standing ovation at the end of their match. Dunn and Bates went completely over. It was... I haven't seen a match like that in a while. And I love the way it was done. It started off slow. It was gradually built up, and bam, it was just all in your face all of a sudden. And my wife, who does not watch wrestling, she sat and watched the event with me tonight. And even she had a good review of the UK match. Unbelievable. She was ecstatic about that match. If they had matches like that all the time, guaranteed my wife would be tuning back into wrestling. And she was like me. She didn't grow up watching wrestling with her father. She grew up watching wrestling with her grandfather. So that made, tonight made a good deal for her. And I appreciated the work these guys did in the ring. I would have liked to have spent a little bit more time on the Eric Young and Strong match. Like I said, it was a solid match. It just wasn't my match. Now, Strong did continue to keep the other members of Sanity off guard. He did get clobbered a few times by them at ringside when the referee wasn't looking. There was a huge tackle by Killian Dane on the outside to Roderick Strong, but in the end, Roderick Strong proved that his superior wrestling skills and his heart would overcome Sanity. Like I said, Roderick Strong was your winner. The fans clearly behind Roderick Strong. So am I. I just wish I would have seen him in a better, I don't know, maybe a better match. Now, I picked Eric Young to win the match for my predictions because he's got Sanity behind him. But clearly I was wrong. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I was wrong about the tag team match as well. But in the end, it was a great show, and I've got no complaints about it. Like I said, the Eric Young and Roderick Strong match might not have been my taste. There was a lot of high spots. But at the beginning of the match, I was struggling with staying awake, and I don't know if that was my fault or the match's fault. I've got a tendency this week because of the surgery I went under. I've been getting tired just at the snap of a finger, and I want to fall asleep. And I got to struggle to keep myself going. Now, the next match, I had no problem with. I was awake and sound straight through this match because I wanted to check these guys out for a while now. I tried watching the UK Challenge, and it was another time where I fell asleep. So, these guys, man, what a show they put on. We had Holy Shit chants, we had NXT chants, we had UK chants. Almost straight through the entire match, UK chants rang out through the arena. Now, there was so many high spots in this match, it is hard to call. These guys went literally fist to fist for a lot of the match. These guys went to the point where they could barely stand. And yet they still showed the heart and determination they have to be in the WWE. And you cannot take anything away from these guys. They might be smaller than what we're used to. They look a lot like cruiserweights. But the show that they are capable of putting on and the show that they did put on completely just blew my fucking mind. And excuse me, I was trying to keep the foul language out of the show today. Not going to happen tonight. Like I said, they went toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose, back and forth. We had high spots. We had very little low spots. We had these guys fighting and throwing punches from the ground till they were up on their feet. It was amazing. We had some wicked power bombs being landed. We had some brutal punches, kicks, and some high-flying maneuvers over the top rope, off the top turnbuckle. And in the end, though, my pick of the night, Pete Dunne, became the new United Kingdom champion. Like I said, Pete Dunne is your UK champion. I loved every single minute of it. I'm not going into detail with these matches tonight, people. I'm giving you my review of the match, the results, and my reaction. That is all I'm doing from now on. I am not going to put so much time into these matches. I used to just write down every single, or try and write down every single thing that happened in these matches. It makes for a long, very long podcast. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to keep it simple. I want to show you that I'm actually watching the matches too. I'm not just sitting there and writing and missing a lot of shit, which I tend to do when I'm writing everything down. I'm tired of doing that. I want to experience these matches. I want to experience the shows. And sitting there and jotting down notes and covering every little detail, or as much as I can, is just too much to handle and enjoy the show at the same time. So up next, we had the NXT Women's Championship Triple Threat match between Asuka, who is your Women's Champion of NXT, versus Nikki Cross versus Ruby Riott. Another great match. These women put it all out there. There was some spots where I was kind of yelling, it's like, why are you just standing there? Do something. You got both women laid out, and you're going to just stand there or kneel there on the mat and not do anything? No, that can't happen. You got to keep the flow going. But all in all, great women's match. These women brought it to the table, and they wiped everything off at the same time. If Titus Catering was there, guaranteed that table would have been cleaned off, because bodies were fucking flying tonight when it came to the women's championship match. Nikki Cross, an animal tonight. Just a freaking animal. And Ruby Riott was right there with her. Just like she said, she came here and she was ready to start a riot. And tonight, she showed what she meant. Asuka, as always, just full-blown out there, in your face. And it would be Asuka who would take the win, pinning Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross at the same time. Now, there was a few spots, like I said, this was a back and forth match, a lot of near falls, and it looked like Ruby Riott was going to take the win on Nikki Cross. Asuka came back in the ring, kicked Ruby Riott in the face, dropped down, covered both women. 1, 2, 3, your winner, Asuka. And still undefeated. Another pick that I was correct on. Like I said, I'm not going to take nothing away from these women. They put on a better show than what we usually see on the main roster. And you cannot dispute what these women have done for WWE and for NXT. NXT is the place to be. Now, if they had, say, 2 hours and live, I would love to see what these people can do. And guaranteed they would bury SmackDown and Raw when it came to ratings. Guaranteed. I have no reason to doubt that. Triple H and William Regal have done a fantastic job with NXT, and they prove it every NXT Takeover, and for the majority, every NXT show. Now up next we had the NXT Championship match. Bobby Roode versus Hideo Itami for the NXT Championship. And your champion was Bobby Roode, and he came out in all his glory once again. There was a lot of people expecting Hideo Itami to finally capture his dream that he's been chasing since he arrived at NXT. And I said in my prediction show, it wasn't his time yet. He just came back from injury. He's been gone so often and for so long because of injury-prone incidences. It was not his time. He's got to prove himself to be strong enough to continue. And WWE and NXT are going to be worried about him if they give him the title. Is he going to be able to have a reign, or is he going to have to relinquish it the following NXT because of an injury? They don't want that, so he's got to prove to them that he is capable of it. Now, I'm not going to take anything away on this match. It wasn't the best match of the night, because that goes to the UK Championship match. That was match of the night. Moment of the night comes at the end of the show, but match of the night definitely went to the UK Championship match. The NXT Championship was out there. It was great. It was impactful. It told the story of Hideo Itami's heart, his drive, his dream. And it also spoke of Bobby Roode's tenaciousness and need to continue to be the NXT reigning champion and to prove that this is his NXT. No one else's but his. And he did that. They both did that. Now, what surprised me was the end of the match. Hideo Itami went for his go to sleep. Bobby Roode reversed, hit the Impact DDT, and held on and delivered a second one. And then went for the 1-2-3. And he did achieve the victory, and he is still your reigning NXT champion. Great work on both men's part. You cannot complain about a damn thing that these guys did. Like I said, it wasn't your match of the night, but not everyone can have that privilege and honor to have match of the night. Like I said, the UK boys, they brought it to the table. There was no disputing who the match of the night went to. Up next was your NXT Tag Team title match, and it went to a ladders match. You had Akam and Razor of Authors of Pain with Paul Ellering at ringside along with them. And you had DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Another great match, but they're like I said with the women's match, there was a lot of stop and go in this match that I didn't understand. If I had two big dudes out on the ground like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano did, I would have put up that ladder, got my ass up there. But instead, they stood there and looked around and then decided to do other things besides climbing that ladder. Now, it all came down to the very end of the match, and it was a very high impact match. A lot of crushing moves. We've seen a splash done to the Authors of Pain from the top rope, 2 ladders on the outside, and Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa put both Akam and Razor through the ladders. But it came down to the end of the match. You had DIY finally up the ladder. They had the ring. All they need to do is pull one belt free. Authors of Pain came in, grabbed them, powerbombed, and then picked them up. Super Collider, another powerbomb, and Authors of Pain scaled the rungs and grabbed their gold, and they are still your tag team champions. Now, at first I thought, well, that's the end of the show. You know, you had Authors of Pain retain, which I chose DIY, but this was all. I don't think this really had anything to do with the titles, and yes, it did have to do with the titles. As we all know, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa have been a tag team for a while, and they've been suffering loss after loss after loss, and usually it ends up being Johnny Gargano taking the brunt of the punishment in their tag team matches, and Johnny Gargano sometimes taking the loss. Tonight, for some reason, Tommaso Ciampa, he waited till they were finally back on the stage, and they had a standing ovation from the fans. Fans were going nuts for him. Even though they lost, they had the full support of the fans. Out of the blue, Tommaso Ciampa takes out Johnny Gargano with a knee, and Johnny Gargano starts coming back to his knees, and Tommaso Ciampa pulls down his knee pad and nails him again with the knee, driving him up onto the stage where the commentator's table is, and he throws him up, and he ends up doing what Sheamus calls white noise off of the announcer's table, 2 tables off the stage. There's 3 of them over there, and just laid him out. So this is the end of DIY. Tommaso Ciampa is fed up. He's frustrated beyond belief. He is done losing. And he took it out on Johnny Gargano. That was the end of the show right there. Johnny Gargano was being taken care of by EMTs, being put on a stretcher, and obviously taking a ride to the hospital. Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano gonna have a huge feud now after Takeover. That is clear from here on out. I want to watch this because this war between the two is going to go way over the top. And that is what I want to see in wrestling. And NXT, this is where it's at. You want action? Start watching NXT Takeover, NXT shows, period. And check out what Triple H and William Regal and their creative team have in store for you. Because NXT and all the NXT Takeovers just blows your freaking mind. This is what Raw and SmackDown should be striving to achieve on their daily shows. Not just on pay-per-views. This is what they should be doing on their weekly shows. They had, 2-3 hours tonight, and they blew the roof off the arena. It was beautiful. That kind of wrestling I can live with. Now, tomorrow is Backlash, and yes, I will be covering Backlash. I'm going to see if I can do a show during the morning as well, bring you some news and updates on the wrestling world, because I wasn't able to do that very much this week. So I want to do that for you, and I will be covering Backlash afterwards. Also, remember, check out the description below for all the ways you can contact me, as well as get merchandise, and take advantage of the Audible trial, because audibletrial.com/pillar to post will be where you can get your free audiobook and 30-day free membership to check out Audible and everything that they carry. Remember, they've got wrestling audiobooks, they've got children's books, they've got romance, science fiction, fantasy fiction. They've got it all for you. So this is Pete Wall calling it a night. You have been watching Pillar to Post. And remember, hit that subscribe and hit that like, because, frankly, this channel needs to grow, and without you, it goes nowhere. Have a good night, and I will be seeing you tomorrow.